Hi everyone, Kimberly Culp here with your Homeschooling Help in a Minute video for Bridgeway Academy. We've been doing a series on homeschooling how-tos, and one of the questions that I get asked a lot as a teacher, as a parent, how do I allow homeschooled children or any child to self-direct learn? Meaning, how can they lead in the learning process and me follow and still have them learn meaningful things? Science is a great way to allow children to lead and to find conclusions themselves about the world around them, get them out in nature, get them involved, and direct the learning, and it still is incredibly meaningful for them. So today we're going to talk about the Nature Box. And here's why I think the Nature Box is so awesome. Number one, for the reason I just talked about, it's self-directed learning. So the children, students at any age, whatever age you're working with and whatever ability level you're working with, they get to direct the learning process. At the same time, the learning is super meaningful and it actually is continuous. So you can do this Nature Box throughout the year for every season. In fact, it works great if you do that because then you can compare from season to season. So what is a Nature Box? Let me show you our Nature Box. The first thing you'll notice is that it's just a cheap plastic box. But it's portable. It's small enough to take with us where we go. I have a couple of kids that I do this with. My younger ones especially love it. It gets them out in nature, gets them busy, and allows them to explore. So it's fall here in Pennsylvania. What's in my son Micah David, who's a first grader, what's in his Nature Box? Well, the first thing it's key is a nature journal. I like to get these bear books. They're empty on the inside, no lines or anything. Why no lines? Well, if he wants to do nature rubbing, if he wants to collect something and press and glue it into his nature book, he can do that, okay? Also a pencil. All good scientists have a pencil and something to record. So how are we already with these things including and encouraging scientific behavior? He's going to observe and he's going to record. What else is in his Nature Box? Well, here's the great thing about the Nature Box. Whatever he finds. The process of the Nature Box is super simple. It's the beginning of the season, fall, October. We go outside and we observe nature. Whatever you find that you think is interesting, stick it in your box. Now for young kids, you might have to direct a little bit here because maybe they just want to stick leaf after leaf after leaf in the box, and that's okay because then you can do some sort of craft with them. But for Micah David, who's a little bit older, he can be really selective and find interesting things. He found a great pine cone. The pine cone actually has some junk on it, right? He found a flower that's still blooming in the fall. Interesting to him. A little mushroom, so he had to wash his hands afterwards, but you can see this is a tiny little mushroom with a stem. Pieces of a pumpkin that some animal got at our carved pumpkin. A leaf, some bark, some evergreen or pine. Okay, so you can see these are the things that Micah thought was interesting to him. What makes this great? Where does the learning come in? Well, after we come in with our Nature Box, over time, over the course of the week or the month, we'll take things out and I will allow him to explore and research science. I'll have him create some questions like, how do flowers grow in the fall? What kind of flower is this? You have bark, Micah David. Let's touch the bark. Let's feel the bark. What kind of tree did this bark come from? Why do trees have bark? What are we doing with this Nature Box? Well, we're learning how to ask questions. We're learning how to predict, hypothesize, and then do research, learn, and go back and look at our hypothesis and say, were we right or were we not? Which is all part of the scientific method. The great thing is that these are their treasures. These are the things that they've been researching from nature. And so they gathered them, they're invested, they get to direct the learning process, and they love it. And they're learning all the way through it. We're learning things about the seasons, what can and can't grow, why and how things live, plants, animals, you name it. I love that over the course of the year we can have a fall, spring, summer, and winter Nature Box and we can compare the different seasons, and that obviously naturally lends itself into a social studies unit about climate and environment and place and location. I'm Kimberly Culp with Bridgeway Academy. Hopefully you'll get out there and create your own Nature Box. What's really important here is to find ways to allow kids to direct their own learning process so that their whole bodies are involved. They get to be the leaders and they get to explore. They'll be so invested and you'll love it. They'll thank you for it. I'm Kimberly with Bridgeway Academy. This has been your Homeschooling Help in a Minute video. You can find out more at homeschoolinghelp.com.